Okay, so as a voice actor, obviously I am human, and as a human, I am prone occasionally to losing my voice, maybe once a year, maybe twice a year, whether it's a cold or a virus or something, or or allergies. Sometimes it just happens. Hopefully, it doesn't happen at the most inopportune time when there's a really big job on the line with a tight deadline, which happened to me once. So I think it was about 2018. I had booked a very big documentary for me. I think this was the second documentary I'd ever booked. And it was a producer that had hired me for one previously, and they hired me for this one. And I was excited. It was a challenging one. It was called The Ornament of the World. And it was going to be premiere on PBS globally. And it was it's a story of a documentary about medieval Spain. Really cool story. And I'd gone through all the preparation. I'd watched the whole film. I'd looked at the script. I got the pronunciations down, which were challenging. There were Muslim pronunciations, Spanish pronunciations. It was tough. So I do all that, and I show up. I drive down into Philadelphia, where I'm going to be recording, Baker Sound Studio. And my voice is a little rough in the morning, it usually is, but I'm doing some humming and some singing and talking out loud, during the 45-minute trip down to Philly. And I get in there and everything's all good, and I put on the headphones and we connect to the producer out in San Francisco, and I say the first couple lines and in the first scene, and he's like, your voice doesn't sound the same as it did last time. It sounds a little scratchy. Okay, you need some water? Is it just you warmed up enough? I'm like, oh fuck! It was the most terrifying thing, because sometimes I think my voice doesn't sound good, but then other people are like, no, sounds perfectly fine to me. So I don't want to judge for my client, but in this case, I had a feeling something was up. It didn't sound 100%, and he could hear it, and that was the terrifying part. So we took a break right after we started. I took some lemon drops and some hot tea with lemon and some water and whatever vocal exercises I could come up with. And we tried it, and we got through a couple, and he's like, you know what, it's just not working. And I was like, oh man, I'm going to get fired. I'm going to get fired from this. I don't even know if the deadline was that tight, but it was a horrible feeling that I couldn't perform for the job that I'd been hired to perform. We ended up scrubbing the session. I drove home and I made an appointment with an ENT, ear, nose, throat doctor. And I'd never been to an ENT before, but I went there and I had to get my voice back. It was scratchy, but it was on the way to losing my voice. And I went there, and he gave me an exam, put the scope up. They give you they numb your nose, and they go up to your nostrils, down into your vocal cords. He's like, oh yeah, they're all, you can see on the screen here, they're completely inflamed and swollen. And when they're swollen and when there's mucus on the vocal folds, they don't vibrate like they're supposed to. And I'd never seen my vocal folds before. And sure enough, there's no way they were going to come together to produce the sound I needed to do. It wasn't, he's like, look, there's no hot lemon tea in the world, or lozenge or throat spray or, food or exercise. The only thing that's going to do this is time. Well, the biggest thing is time. It's going to take about 5 days to a week or so to, every time I get a cold and I lose my voice, it's like a week before it's really back to normal. But you can't just turn it on. But he said, but if you need to really get back into action quickly, I can prescribe you a corticosteroid, prednisone, basically an oral tablet you take a couple times, and it takes like a day or so. But it's like, as he explained it to me, if I recall, it was like like a super anti-inflammatory that would just take that swelling right down. So I took it that morning. I think I took it that night. You front load a little bit with like 5 or 6 tablets the first day, and then you kind of slowly taper off over the next 4 or 5 days. But it gives you a boost to get the swelling down on those vocal folds. So I called up the producer. He wanted to see how I was doing. I said, I went to my ENT, gave me the prednisone. I'm hoping like a day or two, we can be back in business. And I think we tried it 2 days later, and it wasn't quite there, but it was much improved. So we were able to get good chunks of the script recorded. And then the next day we went in and we finished it up and everything was fine. So, losing your voice, it's a terrible feeling. And really the best thing you can do is rest. If you don't have a big job, just stop talking, rest, drink lots of fluids, and just give it time for everything, the inflammation to subside. But people say, this kind of tea or these kind of herbs and this kind of spray help me. And it might make your throat feel better, but it's not going to reduce the inflammation on your vocal folds. And they have to vibrate and they have to be non-inflamed to do that. So, luckily we got through the project and it eventually did air with my voice on it, but it was touch and go there. That was a horrifying feeling, and I really thought I was going to get fired from that. And I'm grateful and so appreciative that producer had the time to wait it out with me till I got better and rest my voice and come back and put a strong project together. But sometimes it's not going to be possible. Other times I've just had to pass on work. I said, look, I know you got a deadline and I've got a cold. My voice is shot. There's nothing I can do. And, if you can wait, great. And if you can't, I totally understand if you need to replace me. And that's just the way it goes. But if you lose your voice and you got a time crunch and you got to get back in the game really quickly, go to an ENT or even primary care physician or even urgent care can probably go there and prescribe you, explain the situation, and they can probably prescribe you the prednisone. Now, my ENT will only give it to me once or twice, I think twice maximum a year. So you really got to pick your spots for when you use it. But typically, I don't lose my voice more than once a year, twice a year. This year it's been none. I think last year it was none also, which is strange. I feel very lucky. So anyway, there you go. So if you lose your throat, if you lose your voice, go to the doctor, get a corticosteroid, or just take some time off and rest.